Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel. Welcome to my GT Sport Ultimate Group 4 fuel test. We have gone overboard with the testing. We're going to test every Group 4 car for efficiency, its fuel saving ability and how much speed it loses when it's doing that fuel saving. So as every car in the roster of the Group 4 in Gran Turismo Sport plays out in the background, it's just the last few seconds of each run. I shall explain exactly what we did in each test. So it's a 5-lap run around Autopolis International Short Course. I think this is quite a good circuit to test things on. It's got a couple of long straights with a twisty section, which means in terms of burning fuel, you've got the cars at high revs and at low revs. Pretty good balance over the circuit. It's also quite short as well, so it's quite easy to kind of rack the laps up and get some good comparisons in there. So the test is 5 laps. We're going to do 2 runs in each car. The first run is just driving the car normally, changing gear when the rev limiter reaches the end at 100%, and noting how much fuel each car uses at the end of that 5-lap run. And then we'll go in and do another run. This time we're going to actually change gear at the 50% marker. This will give us an idea how much fuel the car can save while short shifting. And then we shall be able to also do a comparison of the lap times between the first run and the second run, and that gives us an idea of how much time these cars are going to lose when they're doing the fuel saving, because that's a very important element when it comes to fuel saving. There's no point in having a car that can save fuel for days if it's losing a second per lap. So this was quite an undertaking, I can assure you. 10 laps in each car. There's 28 Group 4 cars. That was 280 laps around Autopolis with a couple of rechecks, and just to make sure things were correct, we clocked up over 300 laps in the course of making this video. I did it all over the course of one day, believe it or not, around about 5 to 6 hours out of my day. So hopefully the results are going to be worth it. Hopefully it's quite comprehensive, and hopefully PD don't make any further changes to the fuel on these cars, and it can sort of sit there as a reference until the end of GT Sport's life. Now, in that last update they sort of said they changed the ratio of the Group 3 and the Group 4 cars' fuel. I don't think a massive amount has changed. I've got quite a lot of experience in knowing how these cars handle fuel-wise from doing the strategy guides, and nothing really surprised me that much as I was going through this process. There's a couple of surprises out there. I think you'll be quite surprised by which car is the most frugal on fuel. I definitely never seen it coming, but I suspect it's because a car that is not very often driven was probably the main reason for that. I've certainly never seen anybody mention this car being really good on fuel. So stick around for the video and you'll find out, or for the rest of the video, and you'll find out what car we are talking about. Tyre wear is set at ×1, fuel is set at ×5. I didn't want to go much higher than ×5. I think if you go up to something like ×10 and then do a test, then very little alterations to your sort of driving style can have quite a dramatic effect on how the fuel is burned off. So I didn't want to go too high on the fuel just for that reason. All the details for the test are at the end of the video, so stick around for that if you are interested in maybe try to replicate some of these. But let's get on with the results. Now, first up we have fuel efficiency. So fuel efficiency to me is just how much fuel the car burns as it is driving normally. So in this case, a 5-lap run around Autopolis, changing gear normally on the rev counter. For cars like the McLaren 650S where you have to change gear at 60%, that's what we did. And then when it comes to the fuel saving one, we'll just change gear at 50% lower than that. But this is the fuel efficiency table. This is how much fuel each car was left with at the end of that 5-lap run. And quite surprisingly, the most fuel efficient car out there, according to this test, is the Mazda Atenza, and by quite a margin. Couple of cars well in the lead there, the Atenza, the Evo and the Viper, well ahead of everything else, and a couple of cars that are just way off the pace when it comes to fuel efficiency. The Ford Mustang is not a surprise, but the BMW M4 being the worst car did surprise me. But fuel efficiency doesn't tell the full story. As we move on to the next table, things become a little bit clearer. So this is fuel saving. So doing the same 5-lap run around the Autopolis short course, but changing the gears at 50% on the bar. For cars like the McLaren 650S, changing it around about 10%. Now, one thing I did discover when I'm doing this is that the Group 4 Corvette has to be short shifted. I never knew that before doing this test, but you should change gear on the Corvette around about 60% to get the best pace out of it. So the first thing I noticed from this is that the vast majority of the pack has closed up here. There's still a couple of cars way out in front. You've got the Atenza and the Peugeot RCZ and the 79s there. The Dodge Viper, which was in P3 for efficiency, falls back down to 9th place there, I think. BMW gets itself off the foot of the table. The Mustang just doesn't save fuel at all. Looks like a bit of a theme for the American cars, to be honest with you. The Mustang, the Corvette and the Dodge just are not very good at saving fuel. But you can see here that the vast majority of cars are falling within 2 or 3% of each other. And the final table we've got here is the lap time loss. Now this is, I think, quite an important one, because as I said earlier on in the video, there's no point having a car that is really good at saving fuel if in the process of saving that fuel you're losing a second per lap. So on the left hand side of the table there, in the purple writing, we have got the cars who only lose a tenth, or in some cases don't lose any time whatsoever when saving fuel. So the BMW is one of the worst cars for efficiency. It's not great when it comes to saving fuel, although the difference between efficiency and the fuel saving is one of the biggest, as it saves more fuel than a lot of other cars, but it's starting from such a low base that it still doesn't really sort of figure that highly in the fuel saving table, but it loses no time whatsoever. The Subaru WRX is probably the biggest surprise for me in this table. It just doesn't lose any time when you're saving fuel. If you're revving at 100% or revving at 50%, it laps at exactly the same pace. So there you go, a lot of information there to divulge. I've just left each of those tables up on the video for just around about a minute. Really, the idea behind this video is it will become a little bit of a reference point for you if you're looking for a table of Group 4 fuel efficiency or fuel saving ability, or you're looking to find a car that doesn't lose a lot of time while fuel saving. As we watch the Hyundais go round for a one-make race with that beautiful double file rolling start that PD still haven't implemented into the game. Come on PD, let's get these nice rolling starts into the game. We know we're there. I have uncovered the secret. We have the test details for the fuel test up on the screen. So as I said, 5 laps around the top of a short course. Tyre wear was at ×1. We were on the racing hard tyres. I've not put that in there. We are on the racing hard tyres. Fuel's at ×5. BOP is of course on. It's a Group 4 cars. Run 1 is just normal gear changing at the end of the rev limiter, and Run 2 is 50% gear changing. And of course, as I've said before, for cars where you naturally have to short shift them, for example the McLaren and now I know the Corvette. There is another car in Group 4, yeah, the Bugatti Veyron is the other one where you have to do that as well. We shifted around about 60% for Run 1 and around about 10 to 15% for Run 2. So, as I said, hopefully this is just a video you can come back to as a reference point if you're looking for sort of fuel information on the Group 4 cars. Now, by no means is this a definitive answer to all your fuel issues, because my driving style will be different to yours. That can have an effect on the fuel. Fuel is actually quite a complex thing in Gran Turismo Sport. I've done quite a lot of experimenting with things like fuel maps, and it's kind of strange. I always remember trying to get the Ford GT to the end of a race where you had to save fuel and everybody said it was impossible. And one of the things I found while sort of testing things is that if you put it in the fuel map 4, it saved just as much fuel as it saved a lot more fuel than fuel map 2, but didn't lose any speed whatsoever. So I always kind of think when it comes to fuel, you have to do your testing, you need to do your homework, but this video hopefully gives you somewhere to kind of maybe cut out some of the hard work and can get straight into the finer details if you like. But I'll just leave you with the Hyundais going round the topless short course here. Beautiful Gran Turismo Sport replay. Hopefully this video has been useful in some way, shape or form. I wanted to get this video out at this point because we do have a fuel race coming up at the Nürburgring at 24 hours for daily race C in the Group 4 car. So hopefully this video may well prove useful quite quickly for that purpose. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Just let me know if there's any surprises in there. Do a little bit of studying the tables and you probably find some interesting trends. The Mercedes SLS is my kind of pick of the cars for fuel. Just seems to be a bit of a jack of all trades, all things fuel concerned. Anyway, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.